Yo, what's going on? Kamikaze Soundwaves here, and I saw my buddy Tylord Stevenson put out a video about his Xbox 360 collection, and that inspired me to do one of my own, so this is a video response to that. And basically I just want to go through my Xbox 360 collection, talk about my experiences with it, what have you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I want to go ahead and start with my Xbox 360 story and how I got it, and etc, etc. Xbox 360, a lot like Tylord Stevenson, when I got mine, that was a big part of gaming. I was like super into like every game that came out. Not everything, but I played a lot of games around that time. And a lot like everyone else, I got mine right when it first came out. So I ended up getting the red ring of death twice, and both times sent it out and it came back. Now I did end up having my house broken into, and my Xbox 360 got stolen, the original one that I had replaced twice. And my wife ended up buying me a PS3 to replace it, and it just didn't sit well for me. I missed my Xbox 360. I didn't get rid of my games, I held on to them. I was eventually going to get another Xbox 360. So she ended up getting me one for like I think my birthday or Father's Day or something like that. Because I just missed my Xbox 360. To me it was just king, and the PS3 just did not fill that void of the Xbox 360. So the one that I got, it was like bare bones minimum. It didn't have any memory, but I ended up hooking up it with the 260 gigabytes, something like that. But the one that I have now, I've had no problems out of it since I got it then. It's been running fantastic, no red ring, etc, etc. But I think they fixed a lot of those problems. But the Xbox 360 is my second favorite console of all time. I absolutely love it. I collect, I don't really collect. I'm just the type of person, when I buy a game, I'd never trade it in. Could be weird to some people, but if I buy that game, it's just kind of a decision that I made and I hold on to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start getting into what I have for my Xbox 360. So after owning two consoles, I ended up having three wireless controllers. They're all pretty, you can't probably see it from there, but they're all super worn down. That's how much I played it. I used all of these controllers a lot. They're all super worn down. And these were all new, none of these were used. I literally used them that much where there's chips in it doing this. I mean, these things have gotten, many of hours of use. I also ended up getting a wired Mad Catz controller. I believe I got this when I first got my Xbox 360. So I could play some two-player games with a buddy or two, and I damn sure wasn't about to spend another $60 on a controller. So when they came to my house to play, this is the controller they got, obviously, to play. So that's all the controllers that I have. Now let's move on to the most important part, the games. So I know there's an Xbox One copy in here, but the Gears of War games, I just wanted to put the first one in here for reference. I had the first one on Xbox 360. I remember getting the first game, Gears of War 1, when it came out that day, and I beat it that day. I literally sat down and beat it like that game, one shot, one go. But the whole series in a whole was amazing. Gears of War 1, I think, is the best out of the series. You can call me crazy for that, but that's my opinion. 2 was really, really good. 3, also very, very good. But in a whole, all of the games were fantastic. Great series. And I think I let someone borrow the first one and I never got it back, but hey. Halo Anniversary. Now this was a remaster of Halo 1, and when this came out, I had to get it. Even though I played Halo 1 on the original Xbox, God knows how many times. This was the remaster and I had to pick it up. And it's good, it's really good. This was included in the Master Chief Collection, but this stands on its own. It was really fun to go back and relive it with all the HD. Being able to switch back between the new graphics and the old graphics, I thought was amazing. So Combat Evolved Halo Anniversary was really, really good. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I think I got it like right when it came out, if I'm not mistaken. Halo Reach. Before we go any further, I love Halo. Let's go ahead and get that. Let's go ahead and get that situated. Halo Reach was an amazing game. I think that it's maybe not everyone's favorite in the series, but I enjoyed it. They implemented a lot of new things with this game, and I thought it was fantastic. I liked what they did with it. The story, I think, was fantastic. The gameplay was amazing. I think it was a little bit different from what people were expecting because they added a couple new things in there, but still it was great. Halo Wars. I liked it to a degree. Real-time strategy games are just not my cup of tea, but it has Halo's name on it, so I had to try it. And Halo Wars 2 is the only Halo game that I don't own, and I'm not interested in buying it or playing it. It should be blasphemy because I'm such a huge Halo fan, but I just didn't dig this game that much. It just didn't do it for me. But it's a real-time strategy game in the Halo universe, and for what it is, it's cool, but it did not entice me enough to pick up the second one. Halo 3, Jesus Christ, man. You know how many hours that I spent with this game? Oh man, the multiplayer, man. The campaign was amazing. I thought it was really well done. This is the last time you see the Flood in a Halo game, and I honestly think the Flood was the best part about Halo. I love fighting the Flood. But this was very well done, very good wrap up in the trilogy of Master Chief. But this one is another game that holds near and dear to me in the Halo games. I played this one probably the second most out of all the Halo games. Halo 1 is definitely the one I spent the most time with, playing that campaign over and over and over. But Halo 3 is definitely a masterpiece in some respect. Halo 3 ODST, supposed to be a DLC, turned into a full-fledged game. A lot of people were a little pissed that the price of it, I believe it was $40. It could have been $60. I can't remember. It might have not been the complete $60 when it came out, but it was supposed to just be DLC, but it ended up turning into its own game. But it had a new thing where you weren't the Master Chief, you weren't this overpowered super soldier, you were just an ODST, dropship orbital trooper or whatever it is, and that you were severely underpowered fighting the Covenant when they landed on Earth. I thought it was really cool. I liked it. They introduced a like horde mode, like how Gears of War kind of kicked that off, but they introduced a horde mode here, which was a hell of a lot of fun. But no, this was great. This was another great Halo game. Probably a lot lower on the list of most of the Halo games, but still, it's a pretty solid Halo game. Halo 4. 343's first shot at a Halo game, and I gotta say, they impressed me. I was really super nervous. Bungie's not doing it anymore, but this game was fantastic. The story is probably not for everybody, but I thought this game was fantastic. I thought it was amazingly well done. The story was great, the gameplay was great, the multiplayer, I kind of fizzled out of the multiplayer on here, don't get me wrong, I did play a lot of it. But Halo 4 was I think 343's, if Bungie, I think, is their first game was their best, I would say this is 343. This is their best one that they've done yet. Halo 5 was pretty bad in my opinion, but Halo 4 I thought was a step in the right direction for them, and I was really impressed to see what they did with it. But so far they're starting to let me down now. If they could go back and start doing stuff more like this, they might have me back. My favorite racing game of all time, Need for Speed Most Wanted. I've played through this game probably 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 times. This, in my opinion, is the best Need for Speed game ever made. They've gone on to do a lot of different things, and they've come back and tried to replicate this, but this just holds us to the test of time. It's so good. Archaic as hell, but that's fine with me. Running from the police was fantastic, really challenging. The story was kooky and corny, but you know what? It fits the mold of what the game was trying to do. But honestly, this is, if you've never played Need for Speed Most Wanted, the first one, there's 2 of them. There's one that came out a little bit longer or later after this one, but this is definitely the best version of it. Great game, great racing game. Minecraft. I never even touched this. This was for my kids, but we have it. Batman Arkham Origins. A lot of people didn't like this one. I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought it was actually very, very well done. Surprisingly, really good. It's not the best probably out of, Arkham Asylum probably definitely is better than this, in a lot of people's opinions. And actually I might say that one's better as well. But I gotta say, Arkham Origins, to me, it might have disappointed some people, but it didn't disappoint me. I'm a huge Batman fan, but I thought this was great. The story was great, the mechanics were great. I mean, you couldn't really mess that up too much. They pretty much implemented everything from the Rockstar games. So this was a different developer that took over this as well, but I thought it was very well done. Beat 'em up, etc., etc. And it's great. It's a great one. Don't let anybody tell you any different. If you've never played Arkham Origins, I highly suggest it. So we can talk about all of these in one go. Okay, BioShock. This game changed my life, man. This game was so dark, so original, so good. FPS, I loved it. The atmosphere, the gameplay was so different. Man, this game just was so great. Everything about it, the tone, I mean, there's nothing more. I think this game pretty much perceives itself. There's not too much that I could really add onto it, but an amazing FPS, completely original, great story, creepy as all hell, just great stuff here. Now, Bioshock 2, on the other hand, it's more of the same. You play as a different perspective in the story, in the character, but it's still great, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't hold a candle to the first one or the third one. It's great, don't get me wrong. If you're going to play any of the Bioshock games, if you get the Bioshock collection, which I would suggest at this point is the way to do it, this game is not bad. It's just not the best in the series. Bioshock Infinite, yeah, awesome shit here. It's a whole different thing, etc. You're in a different atmosphere, but the same kind of premise. But anyway, this game is another great FPS, great story, great visuals, very original, a cool element of gameplay in there with sliding around. You can basically hook onto these rails and dive all around the city, etc. Great FPS game. Very original, very good. Sonic Unleashed. A lot of people didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty decent. I am a 3D Sonic fan. I know the warehouse stages turned off a lot of people from this game, but the warehouse stages, they were not bad. I thought they were fun beat 'em up sections. Honestly, the best part of this game was the new boost mechanic that was implemented in this. That was the best part of this game. It was fantastic. I thought those parts were a lot of fun. The warehouse stages, I will say that they're a little grindy, and you basically just want to get to those to get back to playing as fast, fun Sonic. But the warehouse stages, like I said, they're not terrible, but they were just kind of weird for a Sonic game. But nonetheless, this game was pretty decent for a 3D Sonic game. I actually enjoyed this one. Yeah, this one. Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I was a huge Marvel vs. Capcom fan. I got this. Actually, I didn't hate it. I actually really enjoyed it. I spent a lot of hours playing with it, practicing with it. And then the Ultimate Edition came out and ruined it for me. And if the Ultimate Edition came out and I could still download those characters for this, I don't think I would have been so upset. But that's not the game that Capcom wanted to play. Basically, they wanted you to buy the new game and you could not download the new characters, which was really disappointing for them to do that. So I've gotten out of this. I've gotten out of the whole Marvel vs. Capcom stuff. But up until that point, this game, it's still on its own. It was great. It was fun. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. And Ultimate Edition was probably just as great. But I refused to. I took a stand and said I wasn't going to buy it. I was not going to play that game. I just felt that was a slippery slope going down, and I didn't want to contribute to that. But Marvel vs. Capcom 3, nonetheless, I enjoyed the time that I had up until I feel like they just kicked me in the butthole. But up until then, it's an amazing fucking 2D fighting game for sure. I am a huge Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super fan, and this was one of the first Dragon Ball Z games that I ever got. I believe this was the first one that was ever on 360. I could be mistaken about that, but I spent a lot of time with this. It was basically a retelling of the Dragon Ball Z story, so there was nothing new there. But the fighting I thought was very well done. The cutscenes, like when you would do the power-ups and the super attacks, etc., those were very cool. You could also fight online with this, which was awesome. And for some reason, man, I was just really good at this, and I would go on and just talk shit to people when I would play as Vegeta, and I would just ruin everybody's fucking day and night when I was playing this game online. But anyway, this is a really good, solid Dragon Ball Z game. I mean, the new Dragon Ball Z games are out, and Dragon Ball Z Fighter is coming. I think this is kind of obsolete at this point, but this is still, it was a hell of a lot of fun when it was the main one. Dead Space 3. I had Dead Space 1 and 2 also on the 360, but I believe I'll let someone borrow those as well. But I do have those on my PC. I believe I have that on my Xbox One as well, could be mistaken. But Dead Space 3, the whole Dead Space in the series, if I can talk about that, the first one was amazing, epic. I loved it. I thought it was a survival horror masterpiece. 10 out of 10 in my opinion, 10 out of 10 for sure. The second one, not as good, but still amazing in my opinion. It was great, more of the same, but sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. Continued the story was very well done. Then the third one came out, and it was super disappointing. They tried to implement a co-op player experience, and to me, that was around the time like Resident Evil 5 tried it, so I thought maybe they were trying to try that as well with this, but it just didn't work out very well for them. A lot of people hated this game. It got terrible ratings. My opinion, it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it, but it was definitely the weakest out of the entire series. It was really hard to see it go out on a sour note with this game, with the legacy that it made for itself with the first two games. But anyway, once again, the Dead Space series is an amazing series. If you've never tried them, I highly suggest it. Definitely the first one, if not anything else. But Dead Space 3, disappointing. And here's that other Most Wanted game that I was telling you about, Need for Speed. Now I got this one and was kind of expecting it to be a little bit more like the Most Wanted game. I thought they were trying to go back to a return to form like that other Most Wanted game. And it's not. I think they tried, but they just couldn't recapture the magic that they had, I think, with the first Most Wanted game. Don't get me wrong, it's a solid racer, very arcadic, etc., running from the police, but the first one was just very well defined. This one doesn't have the kooky, crazy story like the first one did, but I think that gave it some charm. But at the end of the day, it's still not a bad racing game, but I still prefer the first one way better than this one. Fallout New Vegas. I played Fallout 3, I have Fallout 3 on my PS3, and then I believe this was a gift from my wife, if I'm not mistaken, at some point. But anyway, this was an amazing Fallout. I believe this one and Fallout 3, I beat both of the main campaign and Meats and Potatoes. Definitely didn't do all of the side quests, etc., but I believe I finished the main campaign. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this game. It is very dark in some things and very funny in some ways. It's a Fallout game, what would you expect? But this was a really good one. I think this might be probably the best in the series next to 4. I think 4 probably is on top, but Fallout New Vegas is definitely a solid, strong contender for the first spot, if not number 2 for sure. Great Fallout game, very crazy, very long, lots of things to do, and I don't think you'd be disappointed if you haven't tried it yet. Super Street Fighter 4. It's Street Fighter. That's about as best as I can put it. Super good, super fun, but there were so many additions to this game. I ended up getting the arcade edition, but nonetheless, it was a good Street Fighter game. Definitely, I don't think it's the best in the series. I think that goes to Third Strike in my opinion. Some are maybe Alpha, but this was another good solid one, but definitely a weaker in the series. But if you can find this around $5 or $10 if you don't have it, it's good for a good couple hours to fight around with somebody with. But other than that, that's about all it's good for. Left 4 Dead. Man, I spent a lot of hours, and I still spend a lot of hours with this game. I play it mostly on PC now. This is before I had a PC. This game is pretty much obsolete at this point. This was the first one in the series. But now, basically, if you have this one, I bought the DLC for this, and then if you buy Left 4 Dead 2 now, even like on PC or wherever you buy, you basically get this game thrown in with it. So, but anyway, fantastic. I mean, I would give anything to have a Left 4 Dead 3. I still, to this day, no BS, I still play this game. Every time I'm just like, what am I going to play? What am I going to play? Left 4 Dead. I was playing some Left 4 Dead. And then I'll get a couple of hours will go by. Shooting zombies, the hordes of zombies come in at different times, at different points, so it makes the game not challenging, but you just never know when the hordes of zombies are coming. You play as a team. You have to play as a team. You can't do it by yourself unless you're super good. But it's great. I mean, the whole idea behind this was fantastic. Very well executed. Valve, man, if you're listening, bro, hook me up. Fucking Left 4 Dead 3, hook everybody up, man. We're waiting on it, dude. No, seriously, great game. So many hours wasted on that. So next I have the Fear series. I don't have Fear 3. Never even played Fear 3. I've seen gameplay of it and it just didn't seem to be like these. So maybe shame on me. Maybe that is something I need to check out. But I'll start off with the first Fear. Man, I really like this game. I think I played through it maybe 4 times. It was so good. It's really creepy first-person shooter, sci-fi stuff, right up my alley. That's like my favorite type of genre, other than survival horror. Survival horror is definitely my favorite genre, but stuff like this is definitely like what I game for. I love stuff like this, creepy science fiction stuff. And then they had this, like the Fear Files, which is basically all the DLC that was for the first game. And more of the same, but that's not a bad thing. Just continue the story. But it was all the same gameplay elements, etc., creepy stuff happening left and right, and basically action as well. Fear 2 is also more of the same, but it was really great, really well done. I think it just kind of concluded the story. I don't think we really need a third one, but like I said, I haven't played the third one. But this one, I believed after finishing, I think this probably could have ended with this. I don't know where 3 stands. Maybe it's something I definitely need to check out, maybe sooner rather than later. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed all of these games tremendously. I know I played this one at least 4 or 5 times, or maybe less, maybe more. But I know I definitely played through this twice, and I think that was about it. But another great series if you've never played it. Definitely the first one for sure. And see if you like it from there to continue. But something that's really great to check out. This game came out, okay? Duke Nukem Forever. This game came out, and within, I think, 2 weeks, they were selling it for $5 at Best Buy. I did beat it. It is Pretty hilarious, pretty crappy at the same time. It's Duke Nukem. I mean, I got it for $5 after a week of coming out, and they were really trying to sell it for 60, and then literally it got dropped down to $5. But hey, it is what it is, man. I did play through it. I mean, there's a little bit of fun to be had. I couldn't pass it up for $5. I played through it. There's some fucking pretty zany shit in here, but first person fucking Duke Nukem shit, and it is what it is. $5. $5. What can I say? It's definitely worth $5 for sure. Crysis 2. I remember when this game came out. Like it even says right here, the best looking game on console. So I definitely had to try it out. Nobody I knew that I worked with, I was talking about games at the time when it came out. Nobody was saying nothing about it. So I went ahead and picked it up, and I was super amazed with it. I thought the combat was very, very well done. I thought the visuals were completely amazing. It was a super fun, solid game. Very, very well done. I actually really enjoyed this. I think I played through it maybe 2 or 3 times. Back when I had the 360, I would play through games like multiple times. But this is another really good, solid first-person shooter. Very unique, very, not super unique, but they did have like cool elements in there to make you just feel super powered, badass. The story I thought was, it was okay. It wasn't something that blew my mind. But this is another really good FPS game if you've never played one. Alan Wake. Yeah, this game's awesome. This game is really, really good. A psychological action thriller. I actually did a review on this game when I first started my channel. I actually really enjoyed this game. It was very, very different. It's got a whole Stephen King feel to it. Third-person shooter with an element of having to use your flashlight to remove dark from your enemies and before you can even attack them with your weapons. So that gave like a whole new element to the third-person shooter. The story's all crazy as hell. It's definitely just a complete, like a Stephen King movie, like the early Stephen King movies, it has that same tone, feel, voice acting, etc., etc. I don't know if that's what we're going for, how it came off like that, but if that's actually what they were going for, to have a Stephen King like tone and feel to it, they definitely succeeded. But Alan Wake is made by the same guys who did the Max Payne series, so if that means anything to you, definitely try this out if you haven't. This is a great game. Alright, the last of my physical collection is Dead Island. I actually bought this game at the same time I believe that I bought like Uncharted 2, I could say. I can't remember exactly when this came out. It might not even be Uncharted 2, but I know I bought this like right next to a big budget like AAA game when this came out. And I bought them both at the same time, and I was like, I'll try this one out first, play around for 5 minutes, and I really, started playing like what I bought, or what I really wanted to play. I ended up playing this a lot more than whatever it was, and I believe it was Uncharted 2. I got addicted to this game. I couldn't stop playing it. Very, very, actually surprisingly well done. Now the story is complete fucking batshit crazy, completely stupid, but it's a zombie game. I don't know how much more you would expect with that, but actually the leveling up, the actually killing of the zombies all in first person with melee weapons was a great idea. You're basically on this island with a whole bunch of zombies and basically just have to survive. It was really fun. It was really, really good. It was really, really cool. If you haven't played this game yet, there's a definitive edition floating around on Xbox One and PS4. You can probably find around maybe $10, maybe less at this point. I'd definitely play it if you haven't already. This is a super fun game. Now, I did have quite a few other Xbox 360 games, but after having the system for so long, I traded some out. Not traded some out, but I let people borrow them, and I don't remember ever getting them back. I know for sure that I had Sonic 06. I believe that might got stolen when the cable guy stole my PS Vita. That's a whole different story into itself. I remember having Rage. I let somebody borrow that. Obviously my Dead Space games, but I know I had a couple other physical games in there that they just happened to misplace somewhere, or I let them get loaned out and just never got them back. But the Xbox 360 was when I got into digital. Like I said, when I first got the Xbox 360, the second one, it didn't have any memory on it, and I upgraded to 260 gigabytes. And that's when I started downloading games and getting really into digital. I found digital so convenient. So let's take a look at what games got me into the digital gaming. Alright, so these are my digital games, and we're going to start off with, I have Borderlands. Man, I want to say this might be the first game that I ever downloaded digitally, like a full game, and that's what really hooked me to digital, knowing like I could have another game in my system and be able to boot this one up without having to like get off my lazy ass and get stuff off my shelf and put it in. But Borderlands was amazing, man. I played the hell out of this game. It's just like a first-person shooter game with so much loot that you get. There's so many things to do. The story is crazy, kooky, so funny. Actually, like laugh out loud moments in this game. It's an amazing first-person shooter game, and there's so much to do. So much to do. I actually did beat this one. It took quite a bit, but you really just have to focus on that main campaign and not get distracted by all the other things that are in there. But if you do happen to get distracted, there's nothing wrong with that. And in Borderlands 2, just kind of more of the same. You do play as new characters, but with the characters, they all have their new abilities and et cetera, et cetera. But this was another great one. It's more of the same, but like I said, it really, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It just continued on with it was a different way to play with different characters, but still great, great stuff. I don't think I ever officially beat this one, but I know I sunk a lot of hours into it. Crisis 2 was really, really good, so I ended up getting Crisis 3. This one was really good. I want to say I played through this one twice. The campaign here is, I think, a lot better than the second one, but the graphics were amazing, the gameplay was amazing, just the whole game in general was amazing. The multiplayer was but you know, like at the time I wasn't really into multiplayer parts of the games, but the main meat and potatoes of the campaign, what this game is for, was fantastic. Very, very, very good. Dead Rising 2. I got the first Dead Rising, and I want to say I got this like on a sale on the Xbox 360 thing. I played around with it for a while, but it just wasn't doing it for me. The Dead Rising games have never really done it for me. The first one really, really turned me off. And I got this one thinking maybe they would change things up, but they really didn't. So anyway, long story short, Dead Rising 2, it might be some people's like, you know, they might love that series. For me, it just didn't do it. Dishonored. Now, this game was really, really good, really, really cool. You know, there's two different ways to play it. You could play it sneaking. You could just go balls out and attack everybody, but they really don't, you know, incentivize you to do that. You're really supposed to sneak and get away with things. Really cool magics involved. Really, really great story. It was a really, really good game. Now, I will say the second one came out, and this one did not entice me to get the second one. Don't get me wrong, Dishonored was really great, but I didn't think it was good enough to purchase the second one. But anyway, on its own, I do think that it's a really good game. Devil May Cry. Now, a lot of people hated this one when it first came out. I didn't hate it. Actually, really enjoyed this game. I thought the combat was fucking amazing to flip back between your two different styles. I thought the story was really well done. Just everything about this game. If you've never played this game, there is a definitive version on Xbox One, I believe on PS4, even on PC. This game is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. If you've never played it, definitely do yourself a favor and play it. Gears of War Judgment was another one that came out. It was like in between 3 and 4. I believe it came out after 3. People were like, why do we need another Gears of War? But I will say, it's not, you know, about Marcus Phoenix and the main characters. It was about Baird, who was kind of like the comic relief. But I think that, you know, the gameplay was just a mirror side from all the other ones. The gameplay was, you know, very well done. Nothing wrong there. But the story was a little lackluster compared to the other ones. But anyway, at the end of the day, I thought it was, you know, another Gears of War game. It's definitely the weakest out of all the games in the series, but it's still very, very well done. Halo Waypoint is just a thing for following Halo stuff. Hectic HD, I believe, comes pre-installed when you buy the Xbox. It's like a little puzzle game. But, you know, what have you. I think I spent around a couple good hours when I first got my Xbox playing around with it. But I believe everybody has seen this game. But basically, it's a little puzzle game where you rotate stuff, etc., etc. Hydro Thunder Hurricane. Now, everybody's fucking walked by this shit in the fucking arcade. And this is exactly what it is. It's just a fucking home port of it. But it's just a racing game with boats in the oceans, if you didn't know. But it's alright. Lara Croft, Guardian of Light. Yeah, I believe this was like $5 at some point, and I picked it up. It was, you know, they tried to change it to the Lara Croft thing, and you were like a top-down view of it, etc., etc., I believe. I don't think I ever finished it. It just didn't really, they didn't do nothing for me. But, you know, I think this was, it's actually been a free game, but nothing really to speak on this one here. Limbo, a buddy at work actually told me about this. He told me how dark it was, and it's like, you know, puzzles to figure out, and I actually went ahead and tried to play it. I beat it, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if I did or if I didn't, but I remember having a really hard, challenging time with a lot of the puzzles. I remember it frustrated me a lot because it's a lot of like physics-based puzzles, etc., etc. And it was just difficult, but it was great. The visuals are great. It was dark tone. I really liked that part of it, but I do remember getting super frustrated with it. Lost Planet 2, I actually had the first Lost Planet, which I really enjoyed, and I ended up getting the second one. I guess the first one was one of the ones that I traded and got rid of. But the second one was really good. It was a lot of fun. I think it's the weakest out of all of them. I never played the third one. I think this is the one that kind of killed the whole series for me. But I remember actually playing the first one and enjoying it a lot. I actually don't really have too many memories of Lost Planet 2. I know that I played it. I'm like fairly positive I beat it. I just honestly, I guess it didn't really leave a lasting impression because I don't remember anything about it. Minecraft is on here twice for some reason. I don't know, my kids must have took my credit card and bought it or whatever. Mortal Kombat, yeah. This one was really solid. This is when the first Mortal Kombat came back with its new style. This was great. The story was great. And I mean, this is what all fighting games should aspire to be, with a story involved in it. A fantastic fighting game. Mechanics are great. The story is great. Fits the tone perfectly. Great game. Resident Evil 6. Definitely not the best Resident Evil game ever. Probably the worst. A lot of people I've actually heard don't hate it. I didn't. I just didn't like it. There are, some of the sections in there that are not bad, but it just got way too, out there for me, and it just didn't feel like a Resident Evil game. I mean, Resident Evil characters were in it. There's zombies. But it just did not have that Resident Evil feel anymore, and I basically gave up on it at this point. I finished it, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if I did or if I didn't. I remember almost quitting it. I don't know if I ever went back and finished it. I want to say that I did. But the time I spent with it, it was so disappointing. I don't know, it just didn't have the same tone, the premise, and as all the other Resident Evil games. At this point, like I said, this one, it just completely lost me. Street Fighter 3rd Strike Online Edition. Oh man, I definitely had to get this. I played the hell out of this at the arcade. I played the hell out of this on Dreamcast. So I had to get it on Xbox 360 when it was released on here. This is a great fighting game. This is, in my opinion, one of the best fighting games of all time. That's about the best way I can put it. It is most definitely so different. The art style, the music, the mechanics in it. I think every Street Fighter game, it should aspire to be something like this, different and unique, and have its own style. All the characters that were introduced into it, phenomenal fighter game, 2D fighter game. Probably one of the best in the Street Fighter series, in my opinion. Sleeping Dogs. This is like an open world game, kind of like Grand Theft Auto. You're a police officer trying to take down this mob, etc., etc. Breaking in cars and zoos and beating up people on the street and completing missions. Nothing spectacular. I don't think that it's one of the worst games like that. There's probably definitely a lot worse games out there. But I played through it, definitely didn't beat it, but I did enjoy what time I spent with it. But it fizzled out for me and I never finished it. The Walking Dead. Man, what can I say about this game? Phenomenal. I was a huge Walking Dead fan. I don't watch it anymore. I just kind of fell out of it. But this is the first one that I played. Well, this is the first one, so this was the first one that I got it much later after it came out, and I think I had to wait for a sale for it because I just wasn't really sure what to take of it with its whole choosing how to go through the story. It's not really action oriented, but man, the story is so good, so Walking Dead feel. The premise of it, the story, the setup, the characters are so great, so great. If you've never played a Telltale game and you are not even a fan of The Walking Dead, I would suggest trying this thing out, man. It's good. It's got some feels in it, man. TMNT 1989 arcade classic game. Hey, man, I'm telling you right now, I used to bug the fuck out of my mom for quarters to play this shit. No, it's super fun. Super easy on this shit because you can never die. But there was a lot of fun fucking playing this with my kids and going around playing as the turtles like how I would as a kid and actually having them all at home. But I haven't played it in a long time. But I remember when I had all these controllers, we would sit in the living room and play this. Even with my wife, that was a lot of fun. We even got her involved in this one. Vanquish. Not really quite sure how to even start this. Vanquish is probably one of the best third-person shooter games ever. It's made by Sega. Not a lot of people have heard of it, but it is phenomenal. There's cover system. You hide behind cover, kind of like in Gears of War. But you have this suit where you zip around the whole area, and you can transform and you zip around the floor, pop up behind a counter or a wall and shoot. And it was just amazing game. I don't really know how much more to say. If you've never played Vanquish, you need to fix it immediately. This is one of the best third-person shooter games, and even today it holds up. You can play this game and see the load times and how fast they are, and it's not because it's DLC, because it's downloaded. It's not because any blah blah blah. You play this game, the load times are like that. If you die, it will literally reload it like within 2 seconds. Like it is just an amazing, phenomenal game. I don't understand how this game did not get a sequel. I guess a lot of people just weren't feeling it, passed over it, maybe didn't make enough money. But I'm telling you right now, if you've never played Vanquish, fix it right now. And X-Men, a lot like the Ninja Turtle game, you know, with the X-Men characters. But that's all my digital games. So this was my Xbox 360 collection. Xbox 360 is just very near and dear to me. It's my second favorite console of all time. Probably the second one that I spent the most time with. I love this console. I hold it very near and dear to me. I think it's one of the best consoles ever made. It holds the test of time. And honestly, I love it. And Tylord Stevenson made a video. This is my video response to him. I watched his video and it's kind of inspired me to make my own. I had too much stuff to say. I really wanted to say a lot, so I feel like I would just make a video about my own Xbox 360 collection. But nonetheless, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Much obliged for watching. It's Kamikaze Soundwaves, and I'll see you over in the next one.